Good morning, everyone. Hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for joining me today. And another awesome show, I think. And the past couple podcasts, what we have been focusing on is the idea of trying to make the awakening process or ascension process as simplistic as we can to help you guys along the way, because thinking too much gets in the way, or jumping steps, or trying to jump steps, or trying to understand steps that you're not currently on is something that is not helpful. We hear a lot about being in the moment, and being in the moment is very important because it allows us to understand what is needed of us at this very second. And each step that we make in this awakening or ascension process cannot be taken unless we learn what is meant to be learned in this step. It doesn't matter how much you think about next steps or what is to come. If I do this, what is going to happen? We have got to get out of that space and understand that each step is going to be what is meant to be learned in that step must be learned before we move on. And if we get stuck in, well, what if I do this, then what happens? And we don't move without that knowing, then you're going to be stuck. And that's why we have said in the past, you can't teeter. It's not this isn't a, okay, I believe now, but not then, or I'll believe when this happens. If we're in that mindset, we are not doing things, or we could be missing things that are meant to be learned right now, and we're not moving forward. Although that is a step in and of itself, developing that belief system. That's step one, is getting out of your own way and being one with the belief system, so that you are, or being present in this moment, so that you are open to receiving what you are meant to learn during this step. Now, the other thing that I want to talk to you guys about is sometimes we get lost in this perspective. Like, okay, what perspective should I take? And there are a number of perspectives that you guys can begin to work with to help simplify this process for you, or at least simplify this very step. So I'm going to give you guys 3 perspectives here, and then I'm going to give you guys some tips to help you with each step. So the first perspective that you can take, if you're awakening and you're not quite sure what approach you need to take, I'm going to give you these 3. The first one is, what is love? So, like, okay, before I start that, what am I referring to? Say you are in the beginning stage of this journey, or in any phase, and you are struggling with trying to find a way to think about things, is really the easiest way I can put this. How do I think about it? Well, really, you don't think. But there are some questions or perspectives that you can take to help you in that moment or during that phase. When I first started, my entire belief system was different than what it is right now. And what I did was I took the perspective of turning on my own light, because that's what they were asking me to do. Now, how do I turn on my own light? What way should I begin to approach situations to help me in life begin to be what it is I'm meant to be? And that's what this is all about. So the first perspective is, what is love? And this is the perspective that I used when I was first starting. And then ultimately I started to use all of these perspectives that I'm about to talk to you about. But this is the first one that I used when I began this awakening journey. And that is, what is love? I started off meditating every single day for a year, at least a half hour, but between a half hour and 45 minutes, I would meditate, sometimes even an hour, actually. And the whole purpose of that first year of awakening was to turn my light on and focus solely, or as much as I possibly can, on love. So when you're doing that, you want to ask yourself the question, what is love? That's the first, when you're coming from the perspective of love and being love, okay, what then is love? Love is grateful or gratitude. Love is accepting. Love is unconditional. Love is understanding. And when you begin to work within those perspectives and going and approaching situations from that loving perspective, we begin to find a little bit more patience, because love is also patient. And when we are in a situation and our ego mind, we're trying to understand how to differentiate between ego mind and soul, or soul or intuitive mind. And this is the perspective that you might want to take. This is the first perspective. What is love? And ask yourself that perspective, that question, in every situation, so that you can begin to differentiate between what is actual love and what isn't in your life. It's almost like you're taking an inventory, because you want to bring that what is love perspective in every aspect of your life, and begin to work on those different aspects if it isn't already love. And again, love is not continuously subjecting yourself to low vibration if it is affecting you in a low vibrational way. I had a woman that I channeled for the other day who came to me, and she kept asking, I don't know what to do, and I don't know when I should move. And those questions aren't easy to answer, but she felt like she kept getting resistance. And I'm like, well, then you clearly are. If you feel that way, then you are resistance to move. So, and then during the channel, they said, do not move. This is not the time. The time right now is to work on yourself and to understand that all the love that you're currently looking for is already within you. And when you're coming from a loving perspective, that is something that is very helpful to understand, that all the love that you currently want in life is already inside of you. And if we're looking for love outside of us, we're looking in the wrong direction. It must start from within. So that's helpful. And asking yourself the what is love question throughout all the different aspects of your life is very helpful. And then beginning to identify what is love and what isn't, and then moving in a loving direction to raise your vibration to be what it is you're meant to be in this awakening process and ascension process. So, all right. So hopefully that one perspective helps. Hopefully you guys are understanding what I'm saying too. Now, the second perspective that you could possibly take, and again, we're trying to simplify this for you, this whole process for you, because you don't want to think too much. You just want to be. And these perspectives that we're offering help you be. So the next is energy's perspective, and it's high and low energy. When we are working or thinking as ourselves, thinking of ourselves as energy, because everything in this world is energy. The wall, the door, this microphone, this computer, the floor, the carpet, the chair. The chair is energy. Everything is energy in this world. Now, if you want to simplify a perspective, then, okay, you can take the high-low perspective. Is this high vibrational or low vibrational in thought, in speech, or in action? Again, we're going to take an inventory of our life. What am I doing in work? Do I feel like this work is high vibrational? Meaning, Is it making you feel high vibrational? Or just do you feel like you're going through the motions? Do you feel like you should be moving and you're resisting that? Okay, so if you're resisting that move, then that's a low vibrational mindset, because high vibrational is following that intuitive sense. Are you in a relationship that is regularly low in vibration? Okay, if it is, what do you feel? What do you feel like you should be doing here? And what do you feel like you can do that is high vibrational? Now, one thing that I have learned in being a teacher and just finishing my master's degree in special education is behavior. Now, if you are looking for somebody to change behavior, expecting them to change is a low vibrational way of thinking about that. If you're looking for somebody to be different, then you must go within and see what you can do differently. So if we're looking to not create, but to transmute energy, to change it, we have to be that change. I cannot go to somebody, say I don't like what somebody's doing in a moment or routinely. I can't go to them and say you need to change. I need to be the change that I'm looking for, so that because energy is gravitational. It will come, it tries to come together. It is magnetic. And if I am in a low vibrational state of judgment, of non-acceptance, then I am low vibrational. I'm only attracting more of that. I must then be in an accepting state, be in a loving state, and thus more love will want to come to me. Now, if I continue to be, if that person is not responding to the new me, to the high vibrational energetic me that I am trying to be, well, then I need to understand that, hey, I either can or cannot deal with this, or don't want to deal with it. It's not a can or can't. It's a do I want to? And if I don't want to be around someone that is low vibrational, then I must move on. I must make these, if I feel that. If I feel that everything's about feeling and not about thinking. You can't think about high and low vibration. That's something that you feel. And if you can get into this perspective and really work from a high and low vibrational perspective, man, that's another one that's pretty easy. So if I'm going around gossiping about people, that's low. But if I'm also judging myself, here's one that I find people routinely get stuck in. They keep believing that they're not connected, or maybe they can't do, like they're not receiving communication. And that is a low vibrational mindset. I cannot be in that mindset. I must, if I'm taking an energetics perspective, even a loving perspective, I'm not being accepting of myself if I continue to think those low vibrational thoughts. So I must raise the vibration and say I am connected and I am receiving communication. It might not be at the frequency that you want, but that requires practice and longevity in continued practice, as it's intended to go through. So we can't force a hand. We can't force communication. We must be accepting of what we are receiving, knowing, and knowing is very, very important, knowing that we are connected, that we are energy in a high vibrational manner, and allow the high vibrational energy to begin to magnetize to us. It can't. Now, here's another thing. A lot of people, and I get it, we're all trying to learn as we go. So it is a process for sure. So go easy on yourself. Sometimes you're going to have these days where you're not high vibrational. It happens to all of us. That's okay. But what we do is learn from those days. Okay, what can I do differently to become more high vibrational? Now, one thing here is to understand that our emotions are not our guides. And I can't say that enough. Your emotions are never your guides. And conjured energy, meaning energy that was conjured from what you just saw, from what you just felt, from what you just not felt, but from what you just heard, are nothing that you should ever act on immediately. And I don't care what that topic is. I don't care if somebody comes to you and says that person over there is not good. That is nothing that you should believe. That is low vibrational. And if that's conjuring a feeling within you, you know immediately you need to step back from that. Because if we're taking a perspective of high, if we're taking that energetics perspective of high and low, we know that's low vibration, and that does not want to drive us. If we want to be high vibrational, we must be high vibrational in our actions, words, and thoughts. So immediately, once we realize that we're thinking low vibration as a result of something that just happened or we saw or we heard, we must immediately step back and ask ourselves, what is the high vibrational state? We must make our own decisions based off of what we perceive, what we feel when we are interacting with those people. These are different situations that you can take this high-low energetic perspection to. And again, magnetization of energy is very important. All right, the second perspective, high and low vibration. What is high vibration? What is low vibration? A very simplistic way of looking at things and going through to help yourself ask yourself questions from that perspective. And the last one, which we've already kind of talked about a little, very, very little, is the soul's perspective. And again, as you maneuver through these different perspectives, and I have worked and do work in all of these perspectives, this one is probably the most intense, complicated one at times, if you will, to really get into. But it doesn't have to be, because on a soul's perspective, everything happens for a reason. Heaven does not judge us. Heaven does not judge the people that have hurt us. Heaven does not judge the governments that are not out for our highest and greatest good. Heaven doesn't judge that. And we are not here to judge them. We are here to be the light, to be love, and to be high vibrational. We are here to transmute energy. We are not here to judge. If we continue to judge, and we are continuing to feed low vibration, and we've already know that feeding low vibration, like we just said, energy is magnetic. So if we continue to feed it and we continue to do low vibrational things, we're going to only attract more of that energy, and we don't want to. The soul's perspective is basically one of a heavenly perspective, a heavenly or even a higher self perspective. So your soul, if you're coming from that soul's perspective, we know that the soul has connections from this third dimensional body realm all the way up to the 12th dimension. And we each perspective that the soul has, each realm that the soul connections that this soul has, that your soul has to all these other realms, has its own perspective, has its own consciousness. And this is where it gets a little bit more intense, because as you begin to operate from a soul's perspective, the soul's connections can come down and you can operate from like different consciousnesses in a matter of like moments, depending on the perspective or the soul's connection that comes down. And I encourage you to listen to the consciousness, the dimensional consciousnesses podcast that we have some time ago. I forget what episode it is, but the third dimensional, and I won't reiterate that whole podcast because it's a really good one. But what you need to know is that you can leverage. I know the 12th dimensional connection is all about one, and we are all one. Everything that you see in this realm is a direct reflection of who you are, of an aspect of who you are. So there is no separation between the guy next to me and me, the woman next to me and me. Everyone in this world is a reflection of some small piece of who you are. It's just amplified in another. When we begin to understand that, to understand on a soul's perspective, we are all connected, we are all one, then we begin to understand that judgments are completely unnecessary. Begin to operate from that loving sense, from these understandings, these deeper understandings on a soul level that we are all one. We are energy. We all share energy. Some energy is lower than others, some energy is higher than others. But we all come from the same creator. We all come from the same energy, in the sense that the chair that I'm sitting in right now was once an idea, was an energetic idea that someone had in their brain. And then they acted on that to manifest it. Okay. The soul's perspective begins to view that, to understand that, to allow these higher perspectives to come in and understand that what we want to operate from, the perspective that we want to operate from, will help us in bringing a deeper level of understanding and help us find love in all situations. So when you are operating from the soul's perspective, here's another one: fear. Fear is not an option. The guy down there is something that we feed. These judgments that we have on others, the fear that we have about certain situations, all of that energy is just manifested in that guy down there. I mean, we are feeding it. And on a soul's perspective, the more we can understand that that is occurring, the more that we can understand that we can transmute that energy by simply being more loving, more accepting of others, having unconditional love for all, regardless of what they do. Because from a soul's perspective, this physical sense is not the primary. We are here to learn. We are here to understand. We're simply like people in a play. If I could quote Dolores Cannon, we're here to, like, puppets. Our souls are trying to maneuver these physical bodies to be more high vibrational, more loving. And from the soul's perspective, anything that we do in a non-loving way is only feeding that energy down there, allowing it to stay here. And if we want to transmute energy, then we have to raise our vibration, allow a soul's perspective from higher dimensions to come down and operate through this third dimensional self and uplift us and be that love. Anything that we do that is lower in vibration does not help either this realm or does not help us. And I get it. That's again, this is an intense perspective to take, because it is not easy. There's a lot to it, because the soul is deep. Each consciousness, each connection that we have to each realm carries its own consciousness, its own level of understanding. Now you can go back to that other podcast where we talk about those consciousnesses and begin to understand, okay, this is, when I think this way, this is the level of consciousness that I'm working with, the realm that I'm working through. When you come from the one perspective, that's the highest perspective that you can possibly have. We are all one. There is no separation. Everything that happens is just a mirror of an aspect of what we are. Might not be a big aspect, but it's an aspect, because we're all healing. We're all trying to go within and be the best version of ourselves, at least many of us. Okay. So those are the perspectives, and there are those three. So we got, let me just regroup real quick. What is love? That's the number one perspective. That's a great way to start. What is love? Is this love? Is this love? And taking that question, that perspective in every aspect of life, and begin to work with each of your aspects in home, in parenting, in yourself, in, are these thoughts that I have about myself, are they loving thoughts? Inventory. Take inventory of everything in your life, everything that you do. What is love? Is this love? Am I doing this for love? And really, really begin to dissect it and inventory it. The next one is energetic perspective. Is it high or low vibrational? Is this action that I'm about to do, is the anger that I feel high or low vibrational? Once we ask that question and we're aware of it, we make choices based off of what we want. And then the last one is the soul's perspective, and that is a deep one. There's a lot to that one that requires more effort, more learning, the connection to the higher realms, and understanding that these consciousnesses begin to interact with us, through us. The more that we allow them to, the more higher in vibration we become, the more these other dimensional selves begin to operate through us. And when the highest possible consciousness that we can incorporate into our being is that we are all one. That is the highest one. Now, okay, now that we covered all them again, now how do we begin to actually help ourselves live in those perspectives? The first one is, we have got to take, again, with the inventory, take inventory of who you're surrounding yourself with, what you're surrounding yourself with, and the places that you're going. Now, okay, first, the who's. Are these people that I'm surrounding myself with higher in vibration or lower in vibration? Surround yourself with positivity, positive people. And that might be hard to do, but if you can't do it, or you're not finding too many of them, well, then be the positivity that you're looking for, and start to listen to people like on a podcast or on a TV show that you find to be pretty optimistic. Listen to those people. Find inspirational speakers and start to listen to them. So that can help you be the positive person that you're meant to be or looking to be. Now, here's another one. High vibrational, surround yourself with high vibrational items. What does that look like? When I first started, there were so many times when I was like, man, I just felt like I was in this rut. And what I would do, what I started to realize is, I'm not surrounding myself with high vibrational items. So what I did was I got a small collection of crystals and I put them next to my bed. Then I bought a little keychain, a little keychain that I hung in my car. So every time I go in my car, I put it around my mirror, my rear view mirror. And every time I go into my car, I see this keychain, and it's a keychain of an angel. All it does is spark a little reminder in my head that says, hey, you want to be light. You want to be high vibrational. You want to be love. You want to think from a higher perspective, from a soul's perspective. You want to go higher. And then I found this little, it's I don't even know what you call it, to be honest with you. It's this little knickknack, and it just says faith. That's all it says. And I put it on my bureau. So every time I'm around my bureau, I see this thing that says faith, and it reminds me to trust. Then I would write letters to myself of what I want to be. This is another really high vibrational thing. So I'm putting all these different items around myself. I would wear shirts, clothes. So like this shirt right now that I'm wearing, it says open to energy, which is the name of my company. So, but that reminds me to be high vibrational. And I try to do that as much as I can. Writing notes to myself, be loving, be respectful, be trusting. And I would put them at different places around my house and maybe in a drawer. So every now and then I would open a drawer and I'd be like, oh, yeah, be trusting today, be loving, be what you're meant to be. Now the other thing that I do to surround myself, I'll tell you this, my classroom in school is I put inspirational messages all around. So on one of my walls, I wrote, "Love is our guide." On another wall, I have the Two Wolves poem, the one where, or the Indian story, you know, where you're feeding the good, bad, the good or the bad wolf. I have pictures of hawks or bald eagles all over my house. These all serve as reminders to me to be high vibrational. And every time I see them, it reminds me to be that, to be the best version of myself. Now, the next one is going to high vibrational places. And this one, I will tell you, is very easy. High vibrational places are simply outside. Go outside. And if you live in a city, go to a park. If you live in a rural area, then just be out in nature, be around trees, absorb the sun, be in the sun. Even if you live in the city, go to the sun, just feel the sun vibrate on your body, fill yourself with love from the sun. High vibrational places are amazingly powerful if you continue to subject yourself to them. And all of these, if you continue to place yourself around positive people and around positive objects that are reminding you to be positive, and then going to high vibrational places, you are really putting a lot of energy into positivity. And I'll tell you, you cannot help but begin to be positive. But you have to be disciplined and loving of yourself enough to actually do this. And I cannot stress to you enough, if you continue to subject yourself to people who complain, who talk about others, who are judgmental, then you're not putting yourself around people who are high enough for you. Be aware of that and have the discipline enough to separate yourself. All right, so here's the other one. So step one in how to begin to operate in these different perspectives, the surrounding yourself with people, places, and things. That's number one. Number two, begin to differentiate between the ego, mind, and intuition. This is it's not easy to do if you're not meditating and being mindful. But I'm going to give you the best tip that I can possibly give you on how to differentiate between them. Intuitive mind is reoccurring. Intuition is continuously it's coming up. It's a feeling that you have. It's not here. It's not in the mind. It is in your heart. It's in your solar plexus area. It is something that you know in your core. And you guys know this feeling. There are times when you guys feel stuff that is very powerful and you know that you need to go with it. Some of you are resistant at those times, and I encourage you not to be. I encourage you to go and go with trust. But there are times when your ego mind tries to create doubt. It tries to keep you stagnant. So if you have this overwhelming feeling like you need to move, but then you start questioning things, that's your ego mind. Your ego mind is questioning. Your intuitive sense is telling you that if you go, you're going to be okay. Ego mind questions all of that and makes you think. You really do not want to think. But I get it. That comes in great time. The more you meditate, the more you practice mindfulness, the better off you will be in understanding and differentiating between ego mind and intuition. Because if you're bringing these three, one of these, if not all three of these perspectives to your life, you will quickly begin to understand the difference between ego mind and intuition. But the easiest way to differentiate is the feeling that you have, not conjured from something that you saw, not something that you've that like a touch from another. That all conjured energy is BS. You need to step away from that immediately. If someone yells at you and it conjures a feeling within you and you yell back, you are operating in conjured energy, and that is not helpful. Do not do that. As best you can, get away from it as soon as possible. Try to differentiate between ego mind and intuition. And that's a helpful way to begin to understand or help you if you are coming from one of these, if not all three perspectives. Now, and obviously, we do this through meditation and mindfulness. I cannot stress this enough. Now, what I will tell you about meditation and mindfulness is a lot of people come to me and say, I've tried meditation, and, you get the whole, I can't get my mind to shut down. Listen to the podcast on how to meditate. I'm not going to go through that right now. But what I will tell you is, if you have a situation that you see keeps reoccurring, an unhealed aspect of you keeps coming up, like a conjured energy. I watch a political thing, or I see something on TV, or I see another person behave in a certain way, and I get angry, or I feel a way. That's conjured energy, and we know that we need to begin to heal that. So, but a lot of people struggle with, okay, but I'm meditating and it's not working. Okay, so what we need to do then is change ourselves. What meditation are we using? And then try another one. So what I would recommend, if you're meditating already, but you're still getting conjured energy from these different aspects, then go into a meditation where you walk yourself through how you want to better handle these situations. See it in your mind. Say, okay, see how you have handled it in the past that is low vibrational, and now change it and walk yourself through how to handle it in a high vibrational way. And do that repeatedly. So I had a gentleman that was reaching out to me for months, and he kept saying, I keep having these obsessive thoughts. And I would say, okay, we'll meditate on, not on the thoughts themselves, but meditate on redirecting your mind to a more positive place. Okay, be grateful that your mind is active, and then meditate on, when you have the obsessive thought, be grateful for them, but then picture in your mind going somewhere else. Like, where is a place that you can take your mind that is happy? That's where you can go back to, surrounding yourself with things. So if you have a place like the outdoors that is happy to you, like you feel really good when you're in that area, then in your mind, when you have this obsessive thought, go to that place. Take your mind to that place and conjure that energy, conjure that loving energy. Bring that energy to the present moment, because we don't necessarily have to be in that place to feel that energy. We can simply, we know what that energy feels like. Okay, so now allow it. It's already within you. That place is just activating something that is already there within you. So now you activate it. You bring it up to the forefront. You allow that to be the focal point of your mind at that present moment, and bam, you're there. I had a friend years ago. She used to tell me, Chris, I can't meditate. I can't meditate. But when I ride my bike, I feel so at peace. And I'm like, okay, so then meditate on that. Meditate on the idea that that energy is possible without riding your bike. Bring that feeling to yourself in your bedroom as you're meditating. And you are now creating, not creating, you are changing that energy. You are bringing that energy that you felt there to this present moment. You could do that in any moment. You don't have to sit down in a chair with your eyes closed in the dark to meditate. I meditate in my classroom when just taking literally a minute with my eyes open. I'm just focusing my mind on the positivity within me. And that difference that minute that I take is a powerful moment, because then I realize that it just reminds me that I am capable of bringing up that energy that I want all the time. Thing is, I do it everywhere I go. And it's a powerful meditation. And again, that meditation could be done anywhere, anytime, eyes open. You could be in a bar and take it a minute to feel the loving aspect of yourself. And I encourage you to take that. Although bars aren't necessarily high vibrational, I'll tell you, obviously, for obvious reasons, because of the alcohol. That's just, alcohol is low vibration. Smoking cigarettes is low vibrational. Not saying don't do it. I drink. But I'm just saying that, take inventory and see if that's a perspective that is, or if that's an energy, or if that's something that is lowering your vibration. But yeah, so anyway, I think that is about it. Now, I will channel today for you guys, and I'm so grateful for you all being with me. Thank you. I could definitely feel their presence as I was communicating with you guys today in this podcast. So I know they're here already. And grateful we are, my children, Enoch speaking. It has been some time since I've been with you, but we tell you now our presence is with you all. We are encouraged by all that is happening in this world, and we encourage you to see from a perspective of a heavenly realm, to know that we view all that is happening in this realm as something that is positive in nature, because what is occurring is this realm, the people within it, a large majority of people are beginning to act in a loving perspective. They are beginning to acknowledge that they are to be of love. And when we are of love, we are being non-judgmental. We are being or exuding an energy that is higher in vibration. And the soul's perspective is one that is coming from a higher dimension. And we are grateful for it. When we begin to allow our higher perspectives, soul self, to act through in accordance with our physical self, we are allowing our heavenly perspective to come through this. This occurs through the light body, and we have encouraged you to understand this before. Your light body is very powerful. And when we activate the light body, we, meaning you, activate your light body and allow for it to be operated from a perspective you understand on a greater level, all that is capable through you. And we are so grateful for these perspectives that have been discussed here today. We do encourage you to understand that we were a large portion of why this podcast has transpired today. We have been nudging Christopher on this topic for quite some time. We are grateful for his release of it, and we have channeled much messages through them. We are grateful for all that you guys continue to do on a soul level, the level at which you are attempting to raise your frequencies. And frequency comes from the energetic perspective. There is and are other energies, though, that we must become more aware of. And we have discussed this in other podcasts as well. The female-male aspects of each person, and how these different aspects are receptive to and giving of these different energies, to balance them, to ensure that each one is balanced, and that the give and take that we have are balanced, both male and female. The female aspect of who we are is the giver and the male is the receiver. But it is these energies that must be balanced, and we must be willing to accept and to give and find great balance in them. The last energy that we want to be aware of is the karmic balanced energy, and we must balance energy. Energy that is too far or exceedingly in one way is not very helpful. Yes, being of light is always the way, and we encourage this highly, but we must also be aware that low vibrational aspects of us must be healed in order for us to acquire the enlightenment that we also seek on a soul level. And that is where the soul is attempting to go. The higher perspective from a soul that we are allowing into our physical bodies, the more balance there is within our energy, the more understanding we have that, yes, we are all one, and that the low vibration we feel at times is part of who we are and why we are here. But we are here to balance, heal those energies. And we are grateful for this perspective. Go in great peace, my children. We say to you now, thank you. We love you all and are grateful for you all. Go in peace. Thank you. Thank you, Enoch. I appreciate it. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. If you have any questions or you have any other topics that you want to discuss, please send me an email. My email is open2energy@proton, PROTON .me, M-E. Send me an email and contact me on any of the platforms that we are, and I will definitely see if we can get that topic up for you. But thank you all so much. Take care and have a great day.